My name is Dana Lakay. The little girl in the picture is me. The picture was taken in 1991. I would have been 1 year old in that photo. The reason why the picture is torn, it's actually very symbolic if you think about it. So what happened was, my parents had me at a very young age. So my dad was about in his teens and my mom was early 20s. They got married a year after I turned 1, and they've been married for about say 5-6 years. And because my dad was young and he had to grow up really fast, so they had to experience girls. So he was basically naughty, and my mom was just fed up. She got to a point where she was fed up and she decided to file for a divorce. In doing so, obviously, I would think, as a young person married, you had nothing to do with the dude, So she ended up taking the pictures. So in this picture is a little girl with her mom and her dad, and obviously a mom and a dad are torn out of the picture. And reason why I say symbolic is because a lot of people, especially in colored communities, grow up in broken homes, and that is basically me growing up in a broken home. Children having to grow up very fast and raising kids, So my mom's side of the family, her mom and her dad got divorced when she was about 12 years old. My granny never remarried, but my grandfather did, and exactly the same thing. The reason why they got divorced is my grandfather was also very naughty, and he ended up remarrying. But in him remarrying, he had a lot of outside children. So to this day, my mom is still meeting her siblings. And then my grandmother obviously never remarried. She stayed a single mom for many years. She had boyfriends. I remember her having boyfriends. But yeah, that's as far as that goes. And then from my dad's side of the family, exactly the same thing happened. My grandmother and my grandfather also got divorced when my dad was really young. But fortunately for them, they got remarried. So I don't really know the story behind why they got divorced, but they are still married to this day. So as a young girl growing up seeing this, you don't really understand as a child, but I guess as you grow up, it is what is part of your life and what is part of your character, and how well your journey in life, I could say. I've never seen my mother smoke or drink. I've seen my dad smoke, I've seen my dad drink. My mother's mother was an alcoholic for a time. My mother's sister was an alcoholic for a time too. She actually went to rehab. My grandfather from my mother's side, I don't really know him. All I know is he was a fisherman and he had a lot of children. He was very abusive as well. There was one situation I remember. I think I was about 4 or 5 years old, and my grandmother from my mother's side actually took us on a trip to PE, and I think this was my first time going to PE. I remember we were sitting in the room. It's myself, my cousin, and my grandmother sitting in the room, and I don't know what made me go and stand in the passage of the door, like just to peek out, and all I saw was one of those thick chairs, those old chairs from back in the day, those proper wooden chairs, thick chairs, just fly past me. What happened was he threw the chair towards his current wife that he was married to at the time, and I saw that, and I remember as a child I was like, yo, this is hectic. I don't understand what is going on, but this is not right. My mother always taught me that that hitting a woman is not right. And obviously having to grow up seeing my dad hit my mom, and my grandparents being addicted to alcohol, and my family as a whole, leaning towards alcohol for a cry of help, I would say. I guess it taught me a lot in life where you don't have to be what your family is. You don't have to do what your family does. You can change it. And I think this is where the godly aspect comes into it, because my mom was always very spiritual. She always took me to church, but a big part of my life was brokenness. And in being broken, you tend to experience a lot of emotional hurt. And going through the process of healing is, I would say, more tough than it is being physically abused. Not that being physically abused is right, but physical wounds heal faster than emotional wounds, and it takes decades to get to a place of healing. My mom and my dad reconciled after my mom filed for divorce. She fell pregnant with my baby sister, and that was basically the reconciliation baby in their marriage. And ever since my sister was born or conceived, my mom and my dad has been good. And yeah, so putting back a family, it's so tough, especially for women, raising a family of 2, 3, even one child, being on your own, having to wonder where your partner is. It's extremely difficult, and having to come to terms with being okay with it is always tough, because you never want to be a single mother. I mean, you did not make the child on your own, and raising a child by yourself is quite difficult. I love my family, and we are not a perfect family. We've been through the most, financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. We've been through the most. But one thing that remains is family, and that's one thing that's so important in my life, is family, and the love that we have for one another. No matter the hurt and the pain we've been through, we always come together as a family, and that is all that matters.